this episode, the Cletus Vette. Will it go to Chicago? No. But we tried really hard. I'm Clayton and I've known Alex for years and we both love old cars. When we should be working, we send each other ads for cars the other one totally should buy. One day, Alex sent me an ad for one of my all-time dream cars, a Corvette Stingray. It was way too good to pass up. Our plan is to get the car road trip worthy in 1 week so we can drive it all the way to Chicago from Toronto for a car meet. But first, we have to get it from Detroit to Toronto. Okay, what day is it?
Saturday.
It's Saturday. This morning, Nick Vance and I drove all the way from Toronto to be here in Southfield, Michigan. This is Carl's house, Carl Woods, and inside that garage is my Corvette. I've bought this thing in Fremont, California about a few weeks ago. I had it shipped here to Detroit and I have never seen the car. I had a mechanic check it out for me before I bought it. He said it's ugly, but it's good. I'm so excited to see my Corvette. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's mine. Oh man, I actually thought it would be worse. So this is a factory L46 car, which means under here, supposedly, is an 11-to-1 compression 350 with 350 horse, 380 pound-feet of torque. Oh. It's perfect.
Yes.
What we're gonna do is put a proper mic on that camera so we can actually hear some sound, and we're gonna fire this thing up. I paid money for this.
You did?
I paid a lot of money for this. The next day we had to load this thing up on the trailer so we could get it home. And we quickly found out that it was too low for the U-Haul trailer. We tried unbolting it from the hitch stupidly, and that had predictable results. We eventually resorted to kind of pulling it sideways so we could angle the trailer into the driveway, and that kind of gave us the incline we needed to drive it up onto the trailer without hanging up on the frame. Mission success! Once we had it loaded up on the trailer, we headed towards the Canadian border to see if they would actually let us into the country with this thing. Once we had it properly loaded on the trailer, the drive to the border was pretty uneventful. The tow rig is my 1999 Chevy Suburban with over 260,000 miles on it. It hauled the Corvette without breaking a sweat. Nick and I, on the other hand, were dying inside the Suburban because it was about 86 degrees, 90% humidity, raining, and we had no air conditioning. The importation process was actually really uneventful. That car. The best part was when we brought it into the inspection facility and the unsuspecting border guys asked me to fire it up. And with nothing but open headers, we probably deafened them as they were leaning over the engine bay checking it out. Despite this, they let us back into Canada.
They let us in! We made it! Yeah! We're your problem now, Canada.
Okay. And I thought
it's gonna be a nice life story that you got it from here to a good car.
You know what? I have to admit, I've had...
Bought a $25,000.
After 5 hours of driving, we arrived at my house in Toronto. We had to angle the trailer across the street just like we did in Detroit, but the car made it off without scraping. Much to the neighbors' delight, we fired up the open-pipe Corvette and drove it happily down the street to my garage. It was actually the first real time I got to drive the Corvette. It runs good.
Smells like history.
I couldn't accelerate very hard because every time I did... Well,
That's not bolted in, is it?
Not really. It's good to be back. Alex is still about 2,000 miles that way, but he is still gonna make it here in time to drive this thing to Chicago. We hope. Now that it's here in my garage, I can see what it needs and I can see what I've bought. The car is shipped with a whole lot of spare parts inside it. And what I've done today is basically take all those parts out and just see what I'm working with. We're still gonna have to buy a lot of stuff. It's got a wrong fan on it and we need a fan clutch for it as well, so we gotta do that. But it's really pretty good.
Cletus!
Let's restore a Corvette.
Hey, buddy!
Good to see ya.
Good to see you too, buddy.
Give me a hug, you piece of trash.
It's 9,000 degrees in this city.
Yeah, isn't it crazy?
I live all the way in Calgary, but I flew out to Toronto just to help Clayton build his dream Corvette. The catch is that I only have 10 days free in Toronto before I have to fly home. Cletus, you magnificent so-and-so. See, they're a lot smaller than everybody, you look at them and you think, oh, it's a big car, it's a small car. That looks good.
It is good.
Oh, the smell! Can you hear how loud that is?
That's because it's a neutral. Put it in a gear.
But in neutral, it sounds like somebody closing a Frigidaire. Well,
Let's do it.
let's not fool around. I've changed. I've had a piece of pizza and a beverage with caffeine in it. I've been up since 3:30 in the morning, and it's coming up on. I've been up for about 22 hours now, including all my flight and stuff coming out here from Calgary, and I'm knee deep in wiring. And I think we should just try and plug these in. Let there be light.
Sort of.
Hey!
Talk to me about what's going on, Stan.
Okay, so basically I'm blocking off one end of the vacuum actuator valve for one of the lights, but once it's working properly, it will move it up and down.
We don't own the rights to that music.
I was hard at work laying on my back in this thing. You ready for the surprise?
What surprise? Brake lights! We have brake lights! This one and that one, dude! The reverse lights would work great if Alex could figure out how to put it in reverse.
Yeah, they work.
Alex Reid is the man. This is amazing.
We got in so late the night before that we couldn't fire it up without annoying the neighbors. So Cletus handed me the keys so I could hear the madness firsthand.
So we're gonna drive to Chicago like that.
It's not that loud. So Clayton, all the way from Calgary, is you. Yes, me. And also, I've unfortunately ruined this shirt that you gave me, I think. It's just totally covered in dirt, but it's...
wear that to my wedding.
Well, you can't now.
Oh.
So, I got you another one. Right?
Well, it's not wrong.
And neither are you.
One of the biggest jobs we had to do was to install the inner fenders. I had bought a pair from a Rec 73 Corvette, but had to hack out the inners myself. Every time you burp into this mask, you just breathe it back in. It's the worst thing ever. In addition to the mask, I had to wear full sleeve shirt and jeans to protect me from the itchy fiberglass shards. So there I was hacking fenders out in a flannel and it's like 100 degrees out. And after all that sweat and misery, we ended up not even installing the fenders until after Alex left.
There's
Dude,
one on...
Alex, come on.
What?
You used a coaster, man.
That's your cup.
Oh. This is the box that Alex especially can't wait to open.
I cannot wait.
Back pressure is not an issue on this build. Let's see if they put alternator mounts.
The alternator mount will probably be separate.
I was worried it wasn't going to have these, that we were to be derailed, because the alternator on this thing bolts to the header.
Because...
Why wouldn't you?
Well, it's right there.
Yeah. So
Okay.
This is the header. This bolt is going to save our alternator.
Well, let's try and take something off.
The header bolt?
Yeah.
You're delusional. It's not... What? Was it tightened at all?
That was like finger tight. What was the guy's name that sold you this car?
I never got his name.
Now, you might be wondering why we're spending precious time replacing the exhaust on this car, and that's because it didn't really have an exhaust when we bought it. It had amazingly crappy ram's horn headers going into amazingly crappy and dented pipes that dumped right under the floorboards. It was also put together without any gaskets or exhaust hangers. But Cletus's dream Corvette had side pipes, and this was the perfect opportunity to fulfill that dream. The header install was going great until we had to remove a coolant sensor from the side of the block to slide the headers into place. And then all hell and all coolant broke loose.
So this one catches the main drips, and this one catches the ones that runs down the header.
It's working.
How much is in it? What is it doing up there?
I'm losing control of the headers. Hold on. I put one of the bolts in the wrong place right now, I'm just realizing.
Impossible.
Once we had the tricky driver's side header fitted, the rest of the side pipe install went pretty smooth. After installing the pipes and fixing a few other items, it was time to fire up the 350 and hear it through the new exhaust. Oh no, it's louder. The glory. It is. Side pipes. We've only encountered one problem, and that's that we're missing one sort of mount that goes from the pipes to the alternator, and it wasn't included in the kit, and we saw in our instructions that it said you had to buy it separately, but nobody told us to buy it separately when we bought it.
The kit only gives you half the bracket. They give you the bracket mounts onto. What that's done is really throw a wrench in our plan, because we were planning on driving this thing to the shop tomorrow morning. The problem is we can't really drive it now. We don't have an alternator. Okay, situation report. Loading up the Corvette so we can take it to Ital Motors. We're gonna get things like a gas gauge, temperature gauge, some signal lights, basically some wiring things that we are completely inadequate to do ourselves. We're gonna take it to my favorite shop in Toronto, which is Ital Motors, and they're gonna take care of us and install the things we need on Tuesday. So hopefully we can get to the tire shop on Wednesday and then just drive it to Chicago. No worries. At least that was the plan. The wiring was even worse than we thought, and the guys at Ital Motors said it would not be ready in time to make the drive to Chicago. We had no turn signals, no cooling fan, no fan shroud, no registration, and no choice but to wimp out and drive the Suburban instead. We had a great weekend at the car show, meeting awesome people and seeing really cool cars, but we both knew that we had unfinished business waiting for us in Toronto. It is about noon, and it is already hotter than wherever you are watching this from. We are out in the sun today here outside Ital Motors. The guys were awesome. They did a lot of work to us, a lot of work. We have brake lights, we have turn signals, we have lights, work. We have every single gauge except oil pressure, which for some reason is mounted in the engine bay. Today's goal: fan shroud, fan clutch.
We gotta put a whole bunch of stuff back together, so.
And then hopefully driving it. All the people that said we're idiots for running open 4-inch side pipes, we kind of listened. This is our muffler. Yeah. So we're taking off the old open pipes, sliding these into the old pipes, and then bolting it all back up, which will come in handy when we drive it on the street today.
The muffler install got a lot easier when we stopped trying to install them backwards, but the next order of business was replacing the crappy fan shroud that came with the car to one that actually fit our fan. Come on. Oh. Removing the old one was a royal pain, but then we found out that installing a new shroud required the entire radiator to be removed for clearance. We had to remove the hood, rad support, and radiator just to install our plastic shroud. It took hours, but eventually we had it all put back together well enough to fire it up and listen to our new mufflers. We then learned that our jerry-rigged alternator mount really wasn't gonna cut it. Despite the alternator wailing like a banshee, we pressed on to finish the car so we could finally drive it. basically what I did was, this one zip tie goes all the way around and into the hole in the back, and then it zip tie into a zip tie. Now I'm gonna do it again on the other side.
Well, Alex was busting ass in the hot sun. I did nothing except get plates. We are illegal. Check that out.
I don't know how it attaches to the front with zip ties. Oh yeah. They didn't have any thermostat gaskets at Canadian Tire, so I bought some gasket making material and I'm cutting one out, so.
We really need to stop and thank Vito and Vince from Ital Motors. At this point, we had been working on the Corvette in their side lot for 2 days. They loaned us their tools, their expertise, and were just as excited as we were to get this car back on the road. So our Corvette only has the right side turn signal bezel and is missing the left. So we found this turn signal lens from I think like a 98 Volkswagen Golf. It's in the perfect shape, really, except there was nothing to mount it to. So enter the amazing zip tie function here. This is actually in there pretty good, and it matches nicely with Alex's job earlier with the marker lights. Got a jug full of premium. We're gonna fire it up and then drive it around the block. Maiden voyage. Watch as I don't spill any. Maiden voyage time.
Are you nervous?
A little bit.
Yeah.
The alignment
Yep. Nice.
The alignment was terrible, the engine wouldn't quit stalling, and we were exhausted. But I was finally driving my dream car. And then it completely died on us. It didn't want to restart no matter how many times we tried, and then it backfired so spectacularly that you can see the explosion in the reflection of my sunglasses.
Whoa!
But eventually we were able to coax the 350 back into life and hobble back to the shop. The Corvette was running badly, but running. It was hard to start, it would barely idle, and it would love to stall if you tried to give it any throttle under 2,000 RPM. But we had plates, we had insurance, and we were going to drive this thing home. Basically, all roads lead to here. The guys here at Cal Tire did an awesome job. They were thrashing this thing all day. The alignment was apparently not too crazy bad. They've stayed open late just to get this done, but even then, it's gonna have to get finished on Monday. They're not open Sunday.
And I'll be gone by then, so unfortunately I won't be able to drive it again, but I had a lot of fun.
So this is the end. Oh, come on. You didn't think we were going to leave you hanging like that. So it's currently late October. Halloween's almost coming up. Alex is long gone, but what you really want to do is go for a drive. Let's fire it up. Oh, come on. car attracts a little bit of attention from the police. Not always wanted. What's left to do on the car? Not a whole lot. You know, it's gonna stay ratty for the time being. I don't have immediate plans to paint it. And basically, what I'm gonna do is go through the steering. It's really bad. Radiator has a small leak, not enough to keep you from driving it, but life is good. Warning lights flashing everywhere. So there you go, a rip in the Cletus Vette. I hope that's given you kind of a taste of what it's been like to live with this thing. I love this car. Thanks for sticking through the whole episode. This was made entirely by Alex, myself, and a few very, very dedicated friends. We don't have any sponsor, we don't have any budget. If you like what we're doing, like, subscribe, and we're on Facebook, we are on YouTube, and we're on Twitter. If you like this video, we will be back with a completely different car in a completely different place doing something else completely stupid. This was the inaugural episode of Reidus and Cletus, and we hope to see you on the next one.